All right, we are ready to go here. It is July 1st. Can't believe it. Almost 4th of July. And let's see why my camera is not working here. There we go. Hopefully it'll pop through. Ah, there I am.
Face. Yep.
Hey, Mr. Ron. How's it going? Welcome back. You've been on sabbatical.
A little bit. How you doing, buddy?
Awesome.
Fantastic.
Can't wait for the 4th, although this year it's kind of a weird year. We're in transition. I figured we were going to be on the boat, and then Barb was freaking out because of the dogs. So it looks like we're staying home on the 4th. So
You're not going to sit it there and watch the fireworks off Queen Mary, huh?
that was my plan, but with the dogs being all freaked out, I guess that's it's not going to work out this round.
Nice.
And it's a bummer because that's what I was planning on doing. So I didn't tool up on fireworks this year. So
yeah, we've had some pretty insane nights with fireworks.
Might be kind of light in the neighborhood this year. Who knows?
Yeah.
That Los Angeles one this morning was pretty good.
Oh yeah, the one in the trash can.
Bomb disposal truck.
Yeah.
All right. I'm ready with your intro, sir.
That is too funny. All right, go ahead, Gregory. Let's see what you got this week.
The following is based on true events. Short version. David McKinney at IMN Wealth Management Conference, me. In October, Denver, there is a pension convention of 5,000 to 7,000 attendees, trustees, wealth managers, and related businesses. With crowd targeting, we can lift the IP addresses to get McKinney Capital in front of all of them. Damien says, I have a hotel on Catalina Island. And I said, yes, we can fill the hotel every day for the year. And he says, let's do it. John Limbacher.
All right. You're always uncovering some interesting stuff there, Gregory.
Well, at the end, I got something else to share, but we'll wait to the end.
Well, cool. All right. So does anybody have anything they want to start up with here? Or?
Yes.
All right. Go ahead.
My nephew has a YouTube channel.
Mm-hmm.
And it's starting to grow in popularity.
Okay.
YouTube is running ads on his channel, and he's not getting paid. You mentioned several months ago that there's a way to opt in to get paid without having to reach their requirement. Can you please elaborate on that?
Yeah, there is. I'm not exactly sure how to do it, but it's in the control panel for YouTube. There's a place in there that is specific to that. I believe you can even turn off advertisements on your videos too, if you want to do that. Because a lot of times
they just changed that, John.
Oh, they did?
The new terms of services came out, and now you don't have control over that anymore.
That's exactly.
That's a bummer.
Yep.
That's what we're getting at. My nephew had a 45-minute seminar prior to his channel running his presentation yesterday.
That's a bummer. Well, the other thing too about, YouTube's great, but it's a free service, right? And if you're running a business, like let's say you're doing videos to promote your business, obviously you don't want competitors laying them over the top of that, right? So that's just the price you pay for free. It makes a lot of sense to get a paid video service if you're going to be running videos that you're paying to advertise and you're driving traffic to and all that. That's where, like for me, Kartra really shines. At the silver level on Kartra, which I think it's $199 a month, you get unlimited video hosting. So, I was using a couple other services. The last service I used was Wistia. And what I noticed about them is they nickel and dime you for everything. And once you get a certain amount of videos in there, they charge you per video to put them up. And then every time somebody watches them, here comes another charge. So when I switched over to Kartra and I moved those videos off of Wistia, that right there, what I was paying Wistia just for video hosting per month paid for my Kartra account. So if nothing else, Kartra use it for video hosting. And it's really cool because when you put your videos in Kartra, there's so many things that you can do with them besides just the analytics. You can tag anybody that's watched your videos. You can see like how long they've run, and you can actually put somebody in a sequence. This is really cool. Let's say you've got a 1 hour webinar and people are opting in to see your 1 hour webinar, and your call to action is at 45 minutes in. You can actually tag the person that has opted in to watch the webinar, and you can set a sequence that will fire email triggers out to them if they haven't watched it, or if they started to watch it and they stopped watching it before the 45-minute part. So that's really powerful. Because it would be really nice to know, if you had 10,000 people that signed up to watch your video, if only 1,000 of them watched it, that would tell you you've got a problem in your funnel somewhere. Why didn't the others watch it? Or if 99% of them started watching it and they dropped off at 10 minutes, hey, there's something in that video you got to fix. 10 minutes, you're losing them. You need to put some hot action in there at 7, 8, 9 minutes to keep them in. Open loops do really well at that. Alluding to what's coming does really well at that. Talking about the benefit they're going to get just by watching the video does that. So again, it's all about conversion. A conversion could be if they watch your video. A conversion could be if they get to your sales page. You want to increase your conversions all the way end to end, from opt-ins all the way up to sales. Every step of the way where you can optimize a conversion along the way of that path, you're going to increase your sales on the far end of it. So it's not about, so many people get hung up on, thinking a conversion is a sale, and they look at it very short-sightedly. With a funnel, the beauty of a funnel is a funnel can continue marketing to a prospect tirelessly, effortlessly, forever, until it converts them. It gives you an ultimate number of, or an unlimited number of ways to be able to reach out and touch them and communicate with them. Because not everybody goes for the same thing. In fact, even the same person might react to the same thing differently on a different day. That's very likely. In fact, it's inevitable. Like, I know there's certain days where if a salesperson gets in front of me, I don't care what he's got, what he's selling, how much it is. It doesn't matter. I'm not listening. Then there's other days when I'm totally open to whatever. I'll play with them and just mess with them just because I got nothing better to do. So, and that's the beauty of having a funnel, to be able to keep those touches up without your interaction. Because that's where salespeople get burnt out. If they don't have an automated process and they're doing the same thing day after day, they're prospecting, they're presenting, they're closing it over and over and over, and there's no end to it. They'll get a sale and the whole cycle, the washing machine just starts over again. That will burn a salesperson up. Eventually they're going to shrivel up and die. They do that long enough. Some will last for years, some will last for minutes, but there's an end to it. Where a funnel, you figure out a good sales process, you optimize the conversions on every step, and you cut that thing loose, and it's going to work around the clock for you. And that's really the meat and potatoes behind the promise. The promise has been out there ever since the internet started, was put up a website, make money while you sleep. Well, it's about 1% real and about 99% bullshit. And the reason for the 99% is because you haven't done the 99% of the work to make it real. And that's the reality to it. A website can and will make money while you sleep if you do all the work to get it to do that. But it ain't no magic pill. It's not something that's just going to happen because you whipped up a website. Most people they get that idea, they hire a web developer, they're frantic. They got to have a website, right? Somebody told them they got to have a website. So they hire a developer, they spend a bunch of money, they put a website up, and it doesn't work. They're like, oh, well, internet doesn't work. It's like, well, yeah, yes and no. It doesn't work like that. But it's like anything else. You know, I've said this over and over and over for the last 10 years. I've been telling people nothing works online that didn't first work in the real world. If you've got a process that works in the real world, it will more than likely work online. And if you've got some pipe dream that wouldn't work in the real world, it's not going to work online either. That's just something I can guarantee you. If it doesn't work in the real world, it's not working online. So if you're replicating something that is a pipe dream, hoping it works, that's what most people do when they fire up a website. They're thinking this new thing is just going to make money fall from the sky. And I would love to see it, but I haven't yet. If any of you guys stumble across that, please point it out to me, because I would love to see how that works. So, all right. Anybody else who's got something they want to address?
I got a question related to site pop.
Okay, sure.
I didn't know if you looked at, because you've got obviously thousands of people doing the campaigns, if you looked at the trends for like what's going on. I'm trying to get some feedback from this latest Google Core update that started on the 2nd of June and finished around the 15th. Because I know a lot of people lost dramatic rankings, and then the ones that did come back, they might be on page 2 instead of page 1, where we had a lot that were on page 1. And I just didn't know if you had any feedback.
Is this the algorithm you're referring to that's referred to as MUM?
No, I'm not just talking about MUM. I'm talking more about specifically this last Core update, where you can really see with the bulk of clients that on the 2nd or around the 2nd, there was drastic droppings, and then they usually dropped off to about the 15th. And then around the 18th, things started to pick back up again, because they had stopped that particular update and probably made slight changes to it. Like they tend to go real heavy and then back off.
Yeah. I keep a pretty good eye on all of my paying clients and SEO. I know Chris watches kind of the back end analytics for site pop across the board, but I'm more focused on our commercial SEO clients. That's what I use it for. And there's always ups and downs. That's just normal. I mean, Google is always shifting things around, and the reason that they do that is to make the SEO world so insecure. It's like you think, oh God, now I got to change everything. And it's like you said, things will shift radically and then they'll come back. And what Google is trying to do, they're seeing who zags when they zig. If they zig and you zag, then they got you. I don't do like radical changes to SEO for my SEO clients. I do, and I've been doing this, like my overall strategy for SEO is do what is meaningful and right for what a business owner would normally do and what's important to them. And your SEO will probably be highly rewarded for it. Like a lot of the stuff, there's all kinds of SEO guys out there. There's all kinds of tricks and stuff that'll work for a few minutes. But what it does, if you keep on doing that, you keep on zigging and zagging, to everything that Google does, and pretty soon they're going to have you on their radar. And whether this is a manual penalty or not, I've seen it many, many times where you'll get a site that used to rank and then all of a sudden it doesn't rank anymore. And I'm almost convinced that it's some kind of a manual flag they've put on the site to just not trust it anymore. And what'll happen, it'll drop back to page 2 and it'll just stick there, or it'll drop back even further. I've seen that over and over and over with different people. And the common thread seems to be that they're zigging when the zagging is happening. And
Well, luckily I don't do that. But
well,
I
that's
agree that sometimes they do devalue sites. It's just this particular, and I've seen a lot of different ones, but this particular core update, all of my clients that I was doing any type of CTR with, whether it was with you or with anybody else, they all seem to take a drop back and not recover quite as much. It's almost like they're putting less emphasis maybe on the CTR, the
Yeah.
click-through rate type of thing. But
what
I'm just
I-
looking, any insights you might have.
Sure. What I did notice on my account specifically, on my Internet Dominator account, I noticed that over the last few months, let's say, the signals that we were sending to it, it was doing the same thing. It was kind of sliding. It didn't seem like it was as effective. So what I did, I went in and I actually added more signals. I went from 500 up to 1,000. And all of a sudden it popped it right back up again. And then I moved it to 1,500. And then all of a sudden now some stuff started showing up that wasn't showing up before. So it might just, it might just be that it's just that point in time where you need more. You know,
I did that with 2 clients, but I'm an agency level, so I'll try that and see how it works.
Yeah, try it out with a few and see if that does the trick. You know, it's kind of like it was the same thing with link building. Remember when we were all building links and, you know, and everything was cool, and then all of a sudden you'd slide? Well, it was because competition, other people were building them too. So,
One of the things I did notice though on the 18th is that the bulk of my clients that had really, really good backlinks
mhm.
actually did better
Yeah.
after that update. They all rose,
Mhm.
but it was specific to the ones that had really good, not like thousands of links, but like
Yeah.
really great, high authority, maybe only 20 or 30 really, really good links. Those
Mhm.
did seem to, so I don't know if there's a shifting going on right now
Yeah.
with where the emphasis is. Yeah.
Well, the answer is yes. There's always a shift going on.
Yeah. But I also know that I don't have enough. I mean, I only manage 100 websites, so I don't have enough of an X factor to know. And that's why I was asking
Yeah.
you, and I've asked others that manage thousands, and I'm starting to see a trend. And of course, you can't always say that causation equals correlation, but
Sure.
yeah.
Well, the one thing I've seen too, as far as SEO goes, is it's not the same across the board. You can have different niches that will be reacting very, very differently.
Absolutely. And even different
so-
places in the country react
Mhm.
differently. The
Yeah.
metropolitan areas versus the outs.
Yeah,
you know,
exactly.
Yeah.
And that's where
Yeah.
Google's AI is getting really interesting. It's almost like a case by case basis, you know, at this point. And the other thing it's doing too, it's recognizing the users, you know, the users' behaviors. So if it hasn't already, I think it's already starting to do this, but if it hasn't already, that's something that you should expect in the future, is based on your past viewing behavior, what it's going to recommend in the search results. So that's, you know, that's something I haven't quite figured out how we're going to game that system.
I mean, and even if you do incognito, then they know you're doing incognito, and
Mhm.
it's all a signal. But just to just kind of wrap back to what you started, I know that they've announced about the MUM
Yeah.
is the first time they've tried that. You were going to start talking about that?
Yeah, I actually wrote an article about that last week for Dory Friend. Dory's
Oh, sure.
yeah,
Yeah.
she's got a big
SIA.
yeah, she's got the SIA. She contacted me to see if I would, you know, write some articles for their whatever they're doing now. And I told her, sure, you know, I love Dory. I've known her, you know, back since the beginning. So the first article I wrote them was, you know, as far as SEO, mum's the word. And it was a full article about the whole mum thing. And I put right in there, I started it off with saying, you know, mum is anything but new. The pieces inside mum, it's about conversational anchor text. It's about Google figuring out what the search intent is of a user that is searching and typing in keywords differently. Like there's been a big shift over the last 10 years of how people search. We used to type in a single keyword, as searchers. And then as time went on, we got more and more sophisticated. And now with the millennials, they don't type in their search phrases. They pick up their phone and they say, "Hey, Google," and they start talking. Well, Google's now got to figure out what the hell is this person talking about, because they're talking in, not in English language sometimes, or they're asking a full-blown question in a paragraph phrase as a search, and Google's got to figure out, what does this person want? And that's what Mum is all about. It's taking all these different variations to try and figure out what the person's looking for. Now, I saw that first come into play right after Penguin hit. I don't even remember what year that was, but probably around 2010 or something like that, 2009. That was like the biggest shift, the biggest upturning of SEO that the world has ever seen. When Penguin hit, it wiped out anchor text. And it started, people started thinking it was penalizing them, but it wasn't. It was just removing authority of all that anchor text. And what I noticed the day after that hit, I started looking at searches, seeing who was coming up and why. And I noticed most of them were using, I'd run backlink checks, seeing what their anchor text was. And the ones that rose to the top had a predominant number of anchor text links that were conversational, almost like those phrases like we're talking about with Mum. They were doing it naturally, and those sites rose to the top. And I went to work immediately creating a conversational anchor text generator, and it worked like crazy. Like for 5 years, that thing just killed it. And I think it's the same thing. There's a lot of voice search coming in. There's just the way users are changing their behavior, and Google's got to stay in front of that. They have to, if they do not provide a good user experience, they're going to lose revenue big time, because people will go somewhere else.
I also understand that they just signed an agreement with Facebook, so now they're going to start indexing all Facebook posts, like they've been doing with Twitter. So that's going to be a little different too. But
yeah,
I did notice that there seems to be a slight uptick in the SERPs with people that have a lot of reviews on Yelp and other review sites. So I think they're putting a little bit more weight in that corner also. So which isn't a bad thing.
Yeah, that could be. Yeah, it's just really about observing what's going on, and if there's stuff that you can take advantage of and kind of shift and not be conspicuous, then I would encourage that. But like anything, and like it goes back to what I said originally, if it makes sense for a business owner to do it, then I would absolutely do it. If it doesn't, like there's some stuff that just does not make sense for business owners to do. Like the whole disavow thing, going into Google and telling them what links are bad going to your site. I don't know any business owner on the planet that would spend their time doing that other than an SEO guy. So what's that tell Google? Hey, I'm an SEO guy. I was trying to screw you. I'm really sorry.
And most of the time, even when they say the links are bad in like SEMrush or Ahrefs, they're really not that bad. And Google is sophisticated enough to devalue them anyway. So I don't even think they really look at that kind of really, really bad ones.
That was just a ploy on Google's part to get the SEO guys to raise their hands so they could identify them. That was the most idiotic thing I've ever seen people do. It was like, I kept telling everybody, no, don't do it. It was like when Google first came out with the Google sitemap. That was a huge trap. I don't think it is anymore, but that was an initial ploy as a trap for SEO. And I remember I was in a mastermind group, and this was way back. This is a long time ago. And here's all these top SEO guys from all over the world. and they're all diving in on this Google map thing, you know, the site map thing. And Perry Belcher looked at me and he says, "What do you think of that?" And I said, "I wouldn't touch that with a 10-foot pole." And all these guys, I mean, I was like mud in the room. And Keith Baxter, he said, "Hey guys, you might want to listen to him," because none of them knew me really. They all were in their little group, and I'd been doing this stuff since the beginning. And Keith told him, they said, "You know, you might want to listen to him. He's been doing this longer than any of us, and he's probably more successful than any of us." And Keith was the only one in the group that went back and he took the site maps off his sites. And like a week later, Google went through and made a sweep and wiped them all out. Anybody with one of those site maps got taken out. And then Keith sent a message. I didn't say a word. Keith sent a message out to that group, says, "What do you think of him now?" So that gained me a little bit of credibility in that group, but they still hated me. They, you know, and it's like, hey, don't shoot the messenger. I'm just telling you what's obvious.
I think the same thing sometimes with schema. I mean, that's definitely something a marketing company or SEO company would do versus just a business owner.
Well, schema, now I don't know about that one, because schema makes sense, because the whole purpose behind schema is categorization. Categorization is important in, you know, in finding anything. And, you know, like Google's trying to figure out, so you're helping them figure out what your site is truly about, because there's a lot of meanings to a lot of different words. I use the example of cougar. You know, if your website was about cougars, that could be an old 1970 car, or that could be an animal, or that could be a certain aged woman. And for Google to figure out what your site is about is important to them, to be able to identify it, nail it down, and be certain. So it can be certain who to show what to. So schema makes sense. The schema makes sense to a business owner. It's like if a business owner wrote a book, right? It would make sense for them to categorize it the way they wanted it to show up in the library. That's what schema is all about. So to me, that makes sense. Where putting a specific type of Google sitemap on your site to say, if you don't have this, you're not going to rank well. And in their terms of service right next to that, saying, if you try and game our system, we're going to kick you out. That's like, whoa, pump the brakes here a little bit. So that's, you know, and it might just be me. Who knows if I'm right or wrong or whatever. You know, it doesn't really matter at the end of the day, but that's just the way I look at stuff. If it makes sense to a business owner, I say go for it. If it doesn't, I say be cautious. Be
Well, and there are certain schema things which are real important, like organization, local business, hours. I agree 100% with that. There are some other ones that everyone's abusing right now by stuffing keywords into them, and Google's going to finally just slap them down and change that or devalue those specific ones. But
yeah, you know, it's
I mean, I like the
anything else.
A lot of open graph ones from Facebook and Twitter cards. I think those are all good things in schema, but most owners have no clue how to do that. So
Open Graph is awesome, because if you use Open Graph, for anybody that doesn't know, Open Graph is like a meta tag that you can put in that is valued by the social media sites and other sites out there. Like if you put a link inside Facebook and the link pops up in the window, and if you want it to show an image, if you have an OG tag for your image, it will actually display your image right in Facebook. So it's really cool for marketing. It's like a dream. But you know, like Tal said, most people don't know how to do it. It's super simple. Putting those OG tags, the open graph tags, it's just like putting a meta tag, like a keyword description tag or a title tag. It's super simple to do. And I know Kartra, if any of you guys are using Kartra, it's got a section in there where it automatically plugs them in for you. If you want an OG image, you just select the image you want and it writes the code for you and plugs it in. Most WordPress sites have some kind of functionality to do that. Anybody that's using any of the SEO plugins, All-in-One or Yoast or PSV3, any of those, they've all got the ability to do that too. So OG tags totally make sense to a business owner, that their links would show up graphically, because that's all about conversion. That's about click-through. You know, you get a lot more clicks on a link if there's a graphical element to it versus just text. So good stuff.
Hey, John, that Google Voice thing, is that going to be like, because I keep getting emails from these companies that they're telling me I need Google Voice search now. Is that legit or?
It is and it isn't. The companies contacting you probably are not. It's like, for years, I got call after call after call of people saying they were from Google. They're like, yeah, and you know, all they did was they got some kind of a Google certificate that said that they had some competency level, but they would present themselves as though they were from Google, and they would say, you know, if you'd like to get listed in Google, you know, we can set that up for you, and they would charge you, and they had no ability whatsoever to get you that listing.
But is the voice search, is that something that's going to be important?
It is important. It's already important. Google has a really, you know, they've spent a lot of time on that, because you've got all these things, you know, you've got Siri, you've got what's the Alexa, you know, all of these things. They're basically taking, and that's why Mum is coming into play and getting some attention right now, is it's trying to figure out, you know, what do those voice searches mean? What's the intent? What are they looking for? What should we show these users?
Isn't it going to go back to the website then?
It is, yeah. It's all about figuring out. It's still, whenever you've got search, whether it's voice search or type in search, it doesn't matter. You're asking for a result, and Google's got to figure out what should they show you. That's the bottom line. They're trying to figure out, you know, who is the best result to display for you.
Can I ask you something about Be Connected?
Sure.
So I met with Scott Schilling this morning.
Awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah, and he said that he talks to you in terms of gallons, not money. You know.
Yeah, he knows what motivates me. Gallons of diesel for the boat.
But you know, there's a lot of things going on with Be Connected, and you know, I finally got my team to start, you know, looking at it. One thing that's amazing, you know, when I do Zoom calls, they sent me this whole voice analysis about, you know, who I was talking to, what kind of personality they have,
Yeah,
how I can work with, and they nailed it.
Yeah, that's
my God.
That's something with Be Connected. When you're a member of that organization, they give you the ability to buy an enterprise Zoom account. For any of you guys that don't have an enterprise level Zoom account, it's awesome. If you pay for it, it's not so awesome. But if you get it through them, like I think it's $12.99 a month, and it's the full-blown everything. It's the webinar, the conferencing platform. It does video transcriptions. Like when you do a video, you record, it transcribes it for you and sends you a text document of the whole conversation.
I know, it's like,
it's awesome.
Yeah,
they give you the true value of what you're actually paying for, as opposed to the overinflated value that you have to pay if you don't go through them.
Yeah, absolutely.
I hate to say it that way, but that's the way it is.
Yeah. And the other thing with it is Working Live is the company that Be Connected partnered with to do that. And Working Live is the one that they put their AI component on top of that, and they made it a piece of Zoom webinar for you. So when you're doing that, like Joe said, it's taking that transcription, it's analyzing the words, how they're said, how they're meant, and it's giving you this like profile data on who's speaking. That's pretty incredible.
I mean, talking to a prospect, I'm just realizing this now. They're going to tell me, I didn't realize how accurate it was because I had a meeting with 2 of my team members.
Yeah.
And they just, the Tisha's often going to organize what's messy. I mean, she's great at that. Like, how the heck do they know that?
Well, AI is going to be used for a lot of stuff in the future. I mean, think about if you were interviewing an employee and you wanted to really know what made them tick, and you had them on Zoom and you're recording the conversation, and you had that AI analyze them and give you a profile feedback.
Or what about an employee or a vendor or somebody?
Yeah, anybody, to know if they're trustworthy, to just, have that insight.
And it's not all, Joe, as in Big Brother's watching you at all.
I gave up on that. I'm not
We
not
already know
paranoid.
Big Brother's watching you, Joe.
Oh,
I accept
back to the thing about Big Brother. I know it was mentioned earlier about using Chrome and using the incognito part of Chrome. The only thing that does is just removes the cookies from you currently. It does not hide your identity. It does not hide the fact that Google knows exactly what you're searching for and all that.
Man, I got to stop searching those porn sites.
Yeah, Tim, you got to give that up, right?
I got to give that up.
We need a 12-step plan.
I'm not giving that up. I ever said, John, you told me get a separate computer.
Oh yeah.
No, John told me get a separate computer, and so it works. Thank you. But
I finally found a use to get a PC computer.
Speaking of that, as long as we've gone into the dirt, I'll share something from last night. I had a big kind of family party out on the boat, and my uncle cracks me up. One of our friends came up, and she gave him a hug, and she's like rubbing his belly, and we're all laughing because he's kind of like not touchy feely, so he kind of freaks out when you hug him and shit like that. And it was just hilarious. And he said something so off the wall, totally unexpected. He's like, I'd really like you to stop rubbing me after 5 minutes. We just thought that was hilarious.
5 minutes, Joe?
Can you take 5? Maybe 3.
I'll talk to you next week, Joey. I know, Joe. I'm embarrassing Joe again.
John, what was that service for Zoom that you guys were just talking about on that gets you all these extra upticks?
It's Be Connected is the platform, and it's kind of like LinkedIn. It's a business connection platform, and it's by no means to the size or power of LinkedIn yet, but I think it has a chance of potentially getting there in the next few years. And they've got a bunch of different opportunities, levels to get into it. But one of the perks and benefits of being a member is the ability to get that Zoom, that enterprise Zoom level. So it's pretty cool. I can send you a link if you want to look at it, get into it. Yeah. I'm actually
don't get on the phone with Scott Schilling. He'll sell you into it. He sold me into it.
I'm actually
John, do you get that with the free version too?
I don't know if you get.
No, I don't think so.
Free. I don't think so.
I don't think because of the free, you have to have a paid version. And I got a paid version. And again, I wasn't going to do it until I sat on the phone with Scott Schilling for an hour. And I've known Scott for 15 years. Scott still sold me as to why I should do it. Don't ask me what the reason was, but Scott sold me as to why I should do it.
Well, there's a lot of benefit to the platform. There's a lot of stuff in there, but I'm actually
wait, do what, John? Do what? What did he sell you in, Tim?
Be Connected.
Be Connected.
Yeah.
Oh gosh, John, we've been there since last summer, so yeah.
John, well, then again, Scott Schilling and I go back 15 years, and Scott told me things that made me want to do it. and I got a deal to get in. Otherwise, I wouldn't have done it. And I said, I'll do it if I can have this deal and this deal only. And Scott went, okay, I'll make that happen for you. And I'm not going to tell you guys. And that is the way I work on these things. I go to people I know, and I only work with people I know. It's like why I work with John Limbacher, because he's somebody I know. All right. If some stranger come off the street and tried to sell me John Limbacher's program and threw 15 more bells and whistles in, I ain't interested. John Limbacher, I know. John Limbacher says, Tim, this is going to help your business. And this is how 1, 2, 3, I'm in every time because I know John. And that's why Scott Schilling got me in to be connected. Whereas John tried to explain it to me, and so did Craig Uswald. And I know Craig very well. And I was like, no, not interested, not interested. Scott Schilling sat down with me and said, Tim, I know you. And he actually outlined how it would work. And I said, Scott, the only way I'm going to do it is if I can do it this way. And he said, it just so happens we have a plan, but you have to act before Friday in order to do it. And you can do it that way. I was in.
That's awesome. Well, yeah, I actually got them to create that lifetime membership, because when it first came out, it was a monthly subscription plan. And I'm like, there's not a lot of, if you want to grow this thing, you're going to have to do something about that. They did this thing where if you brought 2 people in, then you rode for free for life. And that was great. A lot of people hopped in on that. That grew them, pretty quickly. But I said, there's going to be a lot of people that don't want to recommend 2 people, and they're not going to want to pay the monthly fee. So why don't you just create a higher level, plan where it's a one-time fee, a lifetime fee, and they're in for life. And they took that advice and they did. And I think they've got a lot more people in it now.
But they just recently did away with that. But they said they're going to only bring it back on special occasions. Yeah. And that's it. I mean, that's sales. That's Scott Schilling and sales. All right.
Exactly.
You bring it back and go, okay, for those of you who are interested, you got 30 days, act.
Yeah. That's marketing. That is marketing right there. They didn't really take it away. They're using it for marketing.
Yeah. It's a tool.
So
I've done the same thing, John. And I've told you, I did the same thing with my programs. I've created lifetime programs. When I needed to make money, I create a lifetime program to get people in. And act now. All right. It's open for 30 days. Here's the price, lifetime, boom. And it works every time. It helps me raise money, helps me get numbers up real quick.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So, all right. We got Woody over here, Woody and his gals.
Send them through.
And they
Here
got,
we are. Hi.
They got something they want to share.
We call them Woody's angels.
They make you look so good, Woody.
They do. You should just wrap them around you.
Is the vocal on?
Yes. Yes.
You know what,
Yes.
Tim? I used your name on the. I asked everyone what they thought of the new website, and on Craig's Facebook group, and I said the reward for going through my website was you giving a personalized picture of you thinking you're Tom Petty to everyone. And I got 3 responses. I said I don't know if Tim could give up the picture though.
I'm gonna have to go get a Tom Petty wig now just so I can do photo ops for you, Woody.
It's an autograph picture though, so you have to make sure
I can say not Tom Petty on anything.
Not Tom Petty. Yeah, not Tom Petty.
But we do have a question for you, great one, and this wonderful group we belong to. And what it is our ad's been running for 30, how many days?
We're going on like about 50 something days. We did an initial 45-day run of like pretty heavy advertising. We didn't really get any calls.
Well,
we only got a couple leads.
We started a little late.
Yeah, we kept pushing it back.
Instead of having an amazing starburst of ads, my ad ran about once every 5 hours.
Okay. We were doing 500 a week for a while.
And
but on various stations.
So we have 2 or 3
every
questions.
4 hours on the news.
One is now, of course, I put my foot down. I just paid those fuckers $6,000. All right. And I said, No more unless you give me some candy. There's one station that I really want to dominate. It's sort of when you turn on the TV and you go to all the guides and the news
Spectrum News?
shows.
Is it called Spectrum News, Woody?
Yeah, it's called Spectrum News.
Spectrum News.
It's national.
And we still have that, but we just have a few spots there currently. So we're basically not even really on the air at this
But
point.
anyway, he promised me, Woody, you'll be on 8 times a day. And he said, you know, with the new program, and he said, don't change the ad. So, you know, like I like Vegas, I like to gamble, but what's your vibe on that, oh great
Well,
one?
we need to finish then the story,
then-
which is, okay.
Show the ad.
Well,
Show-
I need to finish the story, which is he came back and he's like, if you guys want to do like another 30 days for like $2,500 or something, like we can work something out. We can give you really good like ad space and whatnot, but it was even less ads than we'd been getting before. But they were really good ones, and you get more on the news. So I don't know if it's something's not performing. I don't know that it's gonna perform.
One
kinda
thing I do know is with TV ads, it's a little different. It's like it's got to show a certain amount of times before you even know if it's going to work. But negotiation is just part of the process when you're buying ad space. I would go back to them and see, you know, what you can negotiate with them. Maybe now that you're in so deep with them, you can just go back and just be real candid with them and say, look, so far this hasn't done anything for us. Do you believe it's going to? And if you do, what are you willing to do to show us that?
Well, I already asked him. Okay, go ahead.
Well, he put a program
Okay, wait.
together for us.
Okay, wait. Okay, so I want John to finish, and then I have to
It's
All right.
like ask them if they're willing to do this on speculation, if they're willing to do pay for performance. Sometimes they'll do that.
Okay.
Like when you're negotiating with media buys, I know that's one of the things. Like once you get in so deep, if it hasn't performed, they will continue to do it until it hits a certain performance level. And that's one of the things of how they get you to stay on instead of just dropping out and going away forever, because they want to keep you as a customer. But if they're not willing to like pony up and make sure it's going to work for you, then you should probably find a different vendor that will.
Yeah, I asked him, I said, do you think it will perform if it hasn't already? And he gave me a very elusive answer.
Yeah. See, if that's the case, then that probably is your answer. You might want to find a different channel or, you know, something like that. If it hasn't done anything and they're not willing to stand behind their product, then, you know, it might be worth exploring a new option.
Yeah.
But here's the thing. It's now gonna play once every hour.
On the news station.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I want to dominate that station. I'm up against, you know, a lawyer that but this guy is so rich. He owns the fucking Lakers.
Well, that's something you got to be careful of, Woody. You don't want to dominate a space that doesn't have your buyers in it. He could potentially be doing that for vanity because he's got the money to do it. You don't. You can't play vanity against somebody like that. Don't try and outplay them. If it's
I won't, but he's giving me 1 an hour. I mean, that's pretty.
I'm talking about
hey, Roger.
Yeah, I'm talking about your competitor. If you got a competitor you're going up against that's got a lot of money, he could be there just out of vanity. Doesn't mean he's making money with it.
No competitor.
I understand that. Woody, I got a quick question for you. I'm not a real estate expert, but in my experience, you're looking for home listings, if I understand correctly, right?
That's it.
Okay. The people that list their homes usually are going to buy a new home. If it's driven by a job change, that's usually driven by the man. But if it's driven by, I want a nicer house, that's usually driven by the wife, in my experience, who don't watch news. They watch other things.
Yeah.
Show me the ad. Put
Soap
the ad
opera.
up. Bad
Like a
line.
woman
I
would
saw it
watch
once.
soap operas, not news.
We can show it again though. Should we show you guys that ad again? And then we're gonna
No,
show it off the
just
website.
just the headline.
Just the headline? What do you mean?
Yeah, you can
Yeah.
put it up.
Okay, I'll put the ad up and I'm gonna go ahead and screen share and I'm also gonna share the website too, because we're gonna do that today.
I appreciate your patience, ladies
It's about.
Home sellers, when you want multiple over market offers on your property, call me. That's what I do. I listen and I go to work for you. If you don't know real estate, it costs you. Don't leave my office. Go to woodyplatinum.com now to get the best kept secret for getting multiple over market offers on your home. Seller's market is now. Call 1-866-RE-WOODY today.
Okay.
And then show them the headline and the website.
Yeah.
I like the ad. I think the big idea behind the ad's really good. The whole getting multiple offers over market value. That's really strong. That's like
Well,
the ultimate thing for somebody that's going to try and sell their house.
Well, that's right. But almost, the thing is about the thing that you taught me or trying to teach me. Like when I grew up, there was a comic book thing in Marvel Comics, a bag of stamps for 99 cents. And that thing ran for my whole childhood into puberty. That had to be a winner. But this ad, it's almost got to change with the times. It's almost got to be like current. Like everyone knows now it's a seller's market. It's almost like one guy said, yeah, Woody, but where the fuck am I moving? And I go, oh, well, that's his big idea.
Yeah.
So, the website should probably be gussied up a little bit with like, hey, we'll move you anywhere in the world. As a secondary message. Do you feel that that's diluting the message?
Well, while we're on message, while you're on this screen right here, let me address this because I know you guys had sent this in an email and I said this would be a really good thing to cover on the call, just as a learning experience for everybody. But see your headline here, you've got 2 sentences and they're long. They run the whole span of the page.
That's my idea.
That's hard to read. That is hard to consume for the person looking at it because they have to do this. They've got to do that to read that.
Yeah, just like one. It's like 5 words.
Whenever you see like calls to action, big ideas, they break the sentences so they're in smaller columns, so they're easier to read. The other thing about copywriting, if you can take a word out and it still has the same meaning, you throw it out. Like here, a brokerage, if we take a brokerage off and we just say specializing in home sellers, it means the same thing.
Right on.
So I would remove a brokerage there. That would make your sentence short, so you wouldn't necessarily have to split it, but I probably would. I would put specializing as one word and then in home sellers right below it.
Hey, Don, could I do a quick interjection as well?
Sure.
Woody, as soon as you sent the link out, I went to the page also. I had seen your ad before when you wanted feedback. In the web page on a phone, it is a responsive template, meaning it'll resize and reformat to a phone properly, but the headline is so long, it took up almost the entire screen, just the words, no photo, no anything, because it wraps. It didn't shrink. So on a phone, those 2 long sentences basically were the only thing displayed.
Oh, no good.
Yeah, so I would get rid of a brokerage on there. And then on the next line where it says win the secret.
With the secret.
Win with the secret
Win with the secret to get
Okay.
multiple market offers.
Okay, that does not read right. Like if you stumble on something when you try and read it, that's not good. You need to write as though you're writing for a third grader that's going to understand it.
Got it.
You need to simplify the shit out of these headlines and
Yes,
cut out
sir.
anything that's not necessary. Any word, if you can remove a word and it still has the same meaning, that word needs to go.
So like learn the secret for multiple above market offers. That's still too long.
Just say the secret to multiple offers.
I would argue you don't need the word multiple because the S on offers implies multiple. The
Exactly.
secret to above market offers.
Or you could say specializing in above market offers and get rid of everything else.
Yeah.
So should I give the bastards 2,500 more for 45 days?
You could actually say specializing in home sellers that want above market offers.
Yeah, that's the best phrasing I've heard.
Because that says everything you're saying there with about a third of the words.
Yep.
I want to comment on what he just presented to the table. Does he want to spend $2,500 more with these people?
Hey, Gregory.
Yes. So John, would it be more cost effective with crowd targeting? I mean, take $2,500 and you know what the monthly rate is. I don't know the numbers, and then you know what the reach point, and then Woody's located in the west side, so he would let's say crowd target this Santa Monica Promenade and target the shopping centers where the people go and spend money, as opposed to, let's say, neighborhoods where people are. I mean, it's less people in a wider area going house to house, but you're not getting the bang for the buck in the concentrated area. I don't know. I mean, this is a throw out for you to analyze with Woody.
Yeah, well, I actually think that the best form of advertising for this particular campaign is probably going to be a pay-per-click campaign. Because, and here's why. Your prospect is aware of what they want. They know they want to sell their house. So when somebody's aware, they're usually searching. So it's a matter of being in the right place at the right time. When you're advertising on television, you're not necessarily in the right place at the right time. You might be 1 in a million. You're going to hit that right place at the right time. 1 in a million in that arena. Now you could plant seeds for later when they come to that point, then they'll remember you, but that's a long-term effort. If you're looking to convert people right now, you got people that selling their houses top of mind. What are they going to do? They're not going to go watch TV, hope for an ad. They're going to go to Google and they're going to say, how do I sell my house? Or who's the best realtor in Beverly Hills? And then what you're going to do is you're going to come in front of them with 10 other advertisers, and you're going to be the only one with this messaging. And this messaging is going to be probably the most powerful thing they've ever seen. That's how I would attack this. Because you have, like in the pyramid of awareness, you're not in the unaware down at the base. You've got people that are aware. They're actually in search mode. And I think Google and Bing is probably the two most likely places they're going to be searching. You know, they might be going on YouTube if they're trying to do it themselves, or, you know, if you want to try and convince them otherwise, then YouTube would probably be a play, but you'd have to have a strategy for that. I think the ones that are going to be the most ripe for the picking are going to be the ones that are going to Google and Bing. Bing if it's women, Google if it's men, just as a general rule of thumb. And here's the thing that's really cool for you is they are aware they want to sell their house. They're probably not aware, it's probably not top of mind at all, that they could get multiple above market offers. And that's what's going to really grab their attention. That's where the big idea is going to make sure your ad doesn't pass like a ship in the night. But you've got to get the ad in front of the right people. And
Hey,
the television thing, it's like a 1 in a million. 1 in a
Mhm.
million will be at
Yep.
the right place at the right time when you display that ad right now.
John, I have a way to kind of enhance that is creating your own search term and then putting in your ad. I dare you to go search whatever term you create that you're number one at. I dare you to go search this right now to find out if we're the best.
That's a good
That's
strategy.
that's a strategy enhancement and strategy. What'd you think, John?
Yeah, no, that's a great strategy if you're spending a bunch of money on other advertising
Yeah.
and telling them what to search for. I've seen
Yeah.
some car companies do that. And it's like the ultimate to get users to go search and train Google's AI that you belong at the top.
Yeah.
That's a great,
That's what I was thinking.
that's
Exactly.
a great strategy, but it's usually done with larger people with bigger budgets, but it's a great strategy. Anytime, like I've got internet dominators on my car. And somebody asked me, they go, why don't you have internetdominators.com? And I'm like, I don't want them to go to the website. I want them to type internet dominators on search and go to the website. It's a strategy. So whenever you're trying to do that, instead of giving out a web address, tell them what to type in the search and make sure you're at the top of that search phrase.
Hey, John.
Yeah, go ahead, Randy.
Hey, so I've been listening in, and I just have a couple questions. Unfortunately, my lesson lesson learned out of this, and I just want to confirm. Unfortunately, I feel as though it's at Woody's expense, and I'll tell you why I say that. It sounds to me like when you're backing into this, what we're really talking about is making sure not only that we know who our target audience is, but we know where they hang out, and therefore that will tell us how to reach them in terms of ads and pay for click and whatever. And it unfortunately sounds like Woody may not have, let's just say, invested his money in the right place for what he's trying to accomplish. And I'm sorry to say that, but it sounds like it, because that's a lot of money not to get any input or feedback or anything.
Well, it was kind of my concern from the beginning that is this the right audience? And they were convinced.
Mine too, John, and Woody's rep never, ever, ever guaranteed him results. In fact, they backed out every time we asked a direct question on results, return on investment.
So that
every
was my
time.
concern from the beginning. And, they were convinced because it was a local audience to the neighborhood. But again, when you're TV advertising to a broad audience, it's the chances of you showing up at the right place at the right time. It's 1,000,000 to 1.
And on Spectrum, and I think I know who Woody's talking about, the attorney. This guy there's one out here in California that advertises on Spectrum, and I got to tell you, you get tired of seeing him. He's on so much. And you can't compete with somebody that's got that kind of money invested in television, especially on Spectrum. The moment you turn television, it goes right to Spectrum, and you have to actually turn it to the channel you're looking for if you don't want to stay tuned to Spectrum News.
Mm-hmm. And the cool thing, with pay-per-click advertising, you're only paying for clicks. Like if you get your ad in front of the right person and they click on it, then you pay for that. If you if they get your ad in front of people that don't click on it, you pay nothing. It's almost like guaranteed you're going to get a visitor to your site for X amount of dollars.
John, how much would a click cost? Like if Woody were to do a campaign, because it ranges like 1 cent to $1.
It depends on the keyword. It's all auction based. It's based on the keyword and who's willing to bid on that particular keyword. I know most real estate keywords are not cheap. That might be $10, $20, $30 a click. But when you look at it, if he took say it was $30 a click and he took the $3,000 from his ad budget on TV, he would know that he's got X amount of people on that site. X amount of people are going to download that guide. X amount of people are going to be in his list. And now he has people to follow up with. He's got something going on with his funnel and he's building a list.
And it's people who wanted to see wanted to get in touch with them.
Exactly.
Right. He could
It's
build
very-
relationships because he
yeah.
can harvest the information.
Yeah, it's very,
And
very
then off of those pay-per-clicks, if he has the people responding, does Google, let's just say he goes with Google on a test run for pay-per-click ad campaign, and he gets information, let's just say at $30 to $50 a click. Do they give you, can he harvest that information and then develop a specialized ad campaign to run directly to them?
Absolutely.
And like a copycat market?
Absolutely. You can do, well, there's no copycat in search. Search is straight. You're there for a search term and people will click on it.
Right.
So
Well,
there's
I'm
no-
talking more about like specific marketing platforms, social media platforms like Facebook. He
Well,
could create an ad with an audience. They can create a lookalike audience, the girls, and they can niche market the heck out of that.
Yes, there's two ways that you could take advantage of the list that you build with pay-per-click. The first way is the easiest way, is you can retarget those people. This way, when they're going on to other sites that display ads, your ad will follow them around. The other way, like Ali was talking about, a lookalike audience, you can export your list of email addresses. You can import that into Facebook or a social media platform, and you can create what's called a lookalike audience. And you have to have, the more you have, the better it will be, because data, like Facebook, their algorithm works off data. If you pipe in, 20 addresses, it's not going to have enough data to do anything. It's going to be worthless. But if you put in 1,000, you put in 1,000 email addresses of this is my ideal prospect, the Google algorithm will go to work and it will analyze those 1,000 and see what the common threads are between them. And then it will take those common threads and it will expand that out to their entire database and say, who do we have that looks like this? And then you can create a target group to display your ads to. And you can geo-fence that. You can say, I only want people that fit the criteria within 20 miles or 10 miles or whatever. You can get really specific when you create a lookalike audience of who you want to display your ads to.
Right. And I just met with my Google Ads manager, and because I wanted to know, so John, you're 100% right on the money as usual. So Woody and everybody listening, this is for you guys. I just found out about a tiny little button when you go into Facebook, when you're in Ads Manager, it's a tiny button when you're creating a super niched out market. You want to get it under 50,000 people, which is hyper niched for Facebook, right? Normally people think having 1 million, reaching 1 million, but this is the difference. You niche down to such a detailed market. And then in that Facebook Ads Manager, there's a tiny button called Detailed Marketing Expansion. You want to check that button, and then Facebook's AI goes to town, because what you're telling Facebook is to say, use the AI, and the AI is basically saying, I understand the niche you want, and I'm going to find more prospects, and then you will see instantly, it'll go from under 50,000 to 1 million, but those 1 million people have points ticked, everything that you niched out. So they're finding the specific market you want to reach. So the more detailed you are, the better for you. And then the AI does the heavy lifting for you. So that's what I just found out yesterday through my our business coach and Facebook manager.
Yeah, and the other thing that I learned about Facebook advertising is the image is really important.
Yeah, and if you could have video, it's even better.
Yeah, the video or the image, and the fact that it's relevant is huge. And I know,
Well, can I run the ad?
When I first started running a Facebook ad, what I was trying to do, I was doing a local seminar, and I needed 12 people. I wanted to fill 12 seats in a room. And I figured, well, I'll do it with Facebook ads. So the thing was going to be in Newport Beach. So I targeted, a 25-mile radius of Newport Beach. And I selected an audience of entrepreneurs, business owners, and people that had purchased marketing materials in the last 90 days. And they actually had that category for me. So it was cross-referenced. So they had to match all three of those categories. And I had I forget what my budget, I think it was like $1,000 budget to do this. And I took the advice of all the Facebook ad gurus that said, you got to have beautiful women in your ads. And I put, I got all these different pictures. I even took pictures they recommended right out of the Facebook ad campaign thing. And I did 5 of them, 5 different women, and they got mediocre results and 0 sales. And at the last day, the day before the seminar, before the event was to take place, I had 0 seats sold. And I had about half of my budget left. And I said, screw it, I'm going to blow the whole thing today. And I'm going to put up a different image. I'm changing the image out. I took an image of me in front of a room. And it was from me actually at Dory Friends event when I was speaking there. So you've got all a sea of heads with me out in front speaking like I was on a stage. And then there was a big projection screen up. And I went into Photoshop and I erased what was on the screen and I put up SEO secrets being revealed. And I blew the $500 in one day and filled the room. I sold all 12 seats with that image.
Nice.
Whereas the girls got me nothing. Now, if you would have asked me the day before who I thought would have sold more, me or girls, you know what I would have said, right? It was a shocking result for me to see that happen.
So you in a bikini wouldn't have sold better?
I'm not really sure. I might have been able to outperform the women in a bikini. I don't know. But on a stage with SEO secrets being revealed behind me up on the screen, it kicked butt.
Yeah.
It was like, wow, I would not have believed that. But that was the result that happened. So the relevance, because that seminar was, I was asking people if they wanted to, learn SEO secrets. And that the relevance of that image, SEO secrets being revealed, it got all kinds of opt-ins and it got me, I sold the 12 seats. So
That's awesome.
It was pretty cool. But advertising, it's all about figuring all this stuff out. It's about testing. If I hadn't tested the women, I wouldn't have known they didn't work. If I hadn't, thrown a Hail Mary on the last day, I wouldn't have known that I worked. It was just, that was just pure luck of the draw. That was not skill set on my part. It was just testing. And if you would have asked me, my skill set would have given you a very different answer. But, so it's like you never know when you go into a new ad space that you haven't tried before and you haven't tested the messaging, you haven't tested the image, you haven't tested the audience, you don't know what's going to happen. You take what the best thing that you can do is you can go back to the analysis piece and act, and you can look at competitors. And this is exactly where I got this idea. I don't know if you guys know him. I think his name's Tyler Garnes. He has he's a surfer kid, and he's got a very, very successful SEO business here in Huntington Beach, right in my backyard. He kicks my butt on all fronts as far as selling SEO because he's a marketer. He's a go-getter. He's out there. He's doing his thing where, I could care less. It's like, whatever. But I went back to analysis and I knew he was successful at running Facebook ads. So I looked at his ads and what it was, him up on stage with a screen behind him talking about what he was sharing. So that's where I got the idea. Didn't even come out of my head. It came out of my analysis piece. I went and I looked at my competitors. What are they doing? Why is that working? If they do something over and over and over for a long period of time, that probably is a pretty good idea that it works. It's working for them. Otherwise, they wouldn't be continuously spending money on it, especially in smaller businesses. They can't afford to make that many mistakes that many times in a row. So if they're running ads continuously over and over and over, they're probably working. You know, the only caveat to that for a little guy is if those ads are working because of the amount of time they've been running. You can get in there and you can not see the same results and you can give up prematurely. So that's the only thing you got to kind of be aware of and take that into consideration when you make your decision of did this work or not. So the traffic part of ACT it's by far the most art form of all of this. The analysis is very scientific. The creation is very scientific. The conversion, all the numbers, all that stuff is very scientific. The traffic piece, the advertising, where you run the ads, all of that can be a little bit of artwork.
John, I have a question with regard to directly that.
Okay.
Considering, because you know I'm trying to put together that video sales letter for selling the SEO services. By the way, I sent you a copy of the script, and I hope you'll give it a quick read and make sure that I'm doing, because I'm mixing your explainer strategy with the fellow I'm working with who has a storytelling strategy, and I hope I'm creating cinnamons and apples and not orange juice and toothpaste, you know. So I appreciate if you give me a read on that. But
That's awesome.
in doing my research on other SEO companies across the board, everything everybody is doing is all content based. And guess what? They don't have AI like you do with SitePop.
Yeah.
So they can't advertise that. So I was really having a tough time, and maybe my script will show that, in given that I can't use anybody else's model because I'm not selling what they have and nobody else has what we have. So I had to rely strictly on the way that you sell it, because there is nobody else out there doing, which is sort of the blessing and the curse in all in one. So how would you address that?
Yeah, it is kind of funny that no one else is doing that, because I've been doing it for almost 10 years and nobody's caught up yet. It's that
Thank God for that.
That in itself amazes me.
Well, John, you know, it would, you know, it's taken you, you know, you never given an exact number, and I would press you for it if you'd actually give it. How many cell phones, tablets, and computers around the world do you actually have in the SitePop network?
I don't actually know currently, but I know the last time I looked, it was over 10,000.
Yeah, it's going to take a while for somebody else to duplicate that.
Yeah. That's true. But I mean, even the technology to do it.
Well, yeah, I mean, it took you 10 years to develop it. It's not like some, you know, what's the term? Is the threshold to entry, the barriers to entry is a bit high on that, John.
Yeah. Well, it didn't take 10 years to develop it. It's been being used for 10 years. It's been redeveloped over and over throughout the time to keep up with everything. But I don't know, maybe I underestimate the job at hand.
Well, thank you, John. I'd appreciate if you give that script a read, and don't be kind. You know, that's my work product. It's not me. So if you shred it and put it back together, that's okay. I'd rather have it put back together correctly than leave it broken.
Gotcha. Give me a little time on that one, because I've got, right after this call, I am off and running and just back to back with stuff till mid next week. But I'll see if I can get my eyes on that for you.
I'd appreciate it. Because I'm starting to. I've got it broken up into scenes. I'm going to be doing a combination of your whiteboard and slides and video to try and keep it interesting, to keep the pace moving. And it's going to take a while to put this thing together. So I'm starting on it but if you see any major flaws here, I'm really more concerned about the fine tuning you talked about, saying things like the business owners don't want you to work for them because that's a job. They want you to do it for them, kind of languaging and that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
I've tried to take all that into consideration, but I need some fresh eyes looking at it. So as soon as you can, be greatly appreciated. And thank you so much.
Okay. Well, cool.
Hey, John, could I circle back to Woody for a second?
Sure.
Just a second. Okay. So Woody, the first thing I noticed about your ad is it ends with the call to action of the secrets. And I noticed that it said woodyblagman.com, not a landing page. So we go to woodyblagman.com and I see that second headline is clickable. Not immediately obvious, I think, to most people, but it is clickable. Also, the little there's a little flyover that occurs that you can click. So if your ad is driving people to the site, I would assume that what you want to do is capitalize on the fact that they saw the ad and want to know about the secrets. And yes, that flyover is there, but it isn't a strong call out to me. And the win with doesn't say I'm clickable, click here or anything like that. But let me go further. I do like the continuity of the site. I am accustomed to seeing real estate sites that are full of, on the homepage, listed homes with sold signs across them, industry awards, $1 million seller, things like that. I saw your About has the $1 billion thing, but you have a different approach to your site, I think, than most realtors. That's okay. Let's get to the secrets. You go to the secrets page, and I'm expecting, okay, I have to enter an email and I'm going to download a PDF. That's what I think. So I entered and it took me to basically an acknowledgement page and I didn't see a download. So I'm like, maybe my browser just didn't acknowledge there was a download. So I went over to the email, which is a different step. I had to bring up that email, and I always use a secondary email on these kinds of things. So, you have to load that. And there was no attachment. And then I realized that it's because you don't have a PDF, you just have a little bit of text. And it didn't occur to me that the secret is the text. And then it occurred to me that you actually display it after you enter this email. You don't have to go check the email, it's displayed. Well, if you go there to that page, I even glanced at it and didn't realize you were telling me the secret. The way that is structured, that's the payoff. I see your ad on television. I go to your website. I figure out how to click to get the secret. I enter it, but then I didn't realize I was looking at a secret. I really had to read to figure out that you were trying to tell it to me, because it looked like the best kept secret is in big headlines, and that there's some text that I expected to say, I'm great. But the way you phrase bragging rights or everything didn't look like the secret is create bragging rights or something like that. I just thought you were giving me info, bragging rights or everything. And then also, I expected you to continue the sales process in that I can help you implement this secret. I'm the best person to do this for you. I can make suggestions. I can help advise you. I can connect you with people that can do these things to get these above market things. And what I'm saying is you need to, and you will, and consider doing on your own is kind of the verbiage I'm getting. So I just wanted to alert you to that. My very humble opinion.
I love you, Roger. Thank you, man.
Love it.
Yeah, that
What do you
I
say,
would
John?
I would actually make that button way bigger than what it is.
I was just thinking that.
That button needs to be
Yep.
way bigger. And then when it pops the button up, they already know why they're clicking on it, right?
Yep.
So when it pops up the opt-in page, the only thing I would say there is where should I send the information? because now you're giving them a reason to put their name and email address in. They already know, you've already established the fact that they want it. And you're just saying, where should I send it? Instead of trying to resell them again on it, they're already sold. They've clicked the button.
Ooh.
So that gives them the reason of why they're going to put their name and email address in. It kind of takes the edge off of, oh God, I don't want to be on another list. It's like, no, where do I send it? You're not asking them to be on a list. You're saying, where should I send it?
Right. And that button, if it's going to move, I recommend that it sits above Woody's hand in a circle or an arc that kind of mirrors, the blue tile on the, I'm looking at the screen, so it's on my right side. The maroon, no, the other side, the left side, sitting above his hand, really nice and big, so they can't miss it. And I would even bring in the turquoise because it's a nice contrast and it's on the other side of them. Just so it's super obvious, but you did a great job with the website. It's just so tiny. And on the phone, it's even tinier, you guys. So, those of us that wear magnifiers, make it easy for the folks, everybody, you know what I mean? But really, really nice job. And I agree with Roger. When I clicked through, I didn't get that was the big secret reveal. I think it needs to come with a graphic and like Woody always likes bullet points and really like, real estate for dummies, like the big secret 1, bullet point 2, 3, and then contact Woody for your special insider deal or, like follow up with a call to action. So the text after you put your email in, it doesn't land as the answer, if you know what I'm saying. Just I'm reiterating what Roger's saying in perhaps a different way. Anyway, and
Ellie, I agree.
All good.
Ellie, I agree with all of that. I just want to mention that keep in mind placement of a specific item, in this case, the button, will vary based on the device width. So don't worry too much about that one. Just make it look like a clear button. And this is the above when I go to your homepage, notice all I'm getting are these wrapped headlines.
Yeah.
For quite a scroll. So
we were definitely having some issues with the website and the size, because we wanted to make it viewable by people who were able to want it in a larger text, and having the issues with resizing for smaller. So we have to go back and verify that in each size for tablet and mobile. After this discussion, definitely once we get all of your feedback. We love all of this feedback. It's definitely what we needed.
Hey, can I ask you, do you think I should have the ad running on the website?
Yeah,
absolutely.
Friends on the
I mean, I paid $1 million to make that ad, not $1 million.
We have it on the About page currently, yes. So we have it here on this.
That's
on the bottom of this About.
So it's not like super obvious where it is on the website.
Yeah, that's kind of buried, you guys. I don't know. Woody, you could do, girls, you could help Woody do a little 15-second video that says, hey, thanks for stopping by. I really want to help you sell your house. Click here. And then just keep directing them. And the click here is they get to put in their name and email address and just say, I want to help you get a free a complimentary session with me so that I could help you, as long as somebody responds and we can get Woody in front of somebody, he can work his magic. You know what I mean? Anything with a video, shorter the better. And anybody could say it, just, and have it be short and sweet and like Woody, bullet points.
And
that's
have it
really
on the
good.
front?
On the front, on your home page, definitely.
Yeah, because people will scroll down a single page before they'll click to go into subpages.
Right. And like on your mobile version, your iPad's gonna, your tablature forms are gonna be similar to your regular computer, but on the mobile, have your homepage land, whatever you want the first somebody to see first, which is, I would say, John's original variant of your headline, which is the seller above market rates, a picture of Woody, and then a button that says, click here for a free analysis of how I can get you the best, price for your house.
How to beat the comps.
Yeah, or you know what I
Wow,
mean?
that's a good headline. How to beat the comps. I love that.
Well, I don't know. See, I don't even get that, but
I don't know what that means.
Me
No,
neither.
yeah. Okay, it's jargonish. Yeah.
Yeah. So all I'm saying is Woody, you know what people want. And like John said, your people know they want to sell their house. So what do they want? Everybody wants the most money. Click here for a free consult. I'll help you figure out how to get the most money for your house. If I was selling my house, I would click on that. And on the mobile version, it has to be right, within the screen. Do you know what I mean, girls? So I don't know how you tech goddesses figure that stuff out, but I know you can do it. You've done a great job.
With great difficulty, but yes.
Yeah, gotcha. Roger that. Roger.
Where's Roger when you need him to chime in?
Yeah, where's he at?
Anyway, thank you, people, for your wonderful, wonderful counsel, and I hope it serves you as well as me.
All right. Well, I think,
I want to say one last quick thing. You said the coach, I forgot your name all of a sudden, the fabulous Black coach in our group. But you know what? I did achieve something. People in LA know who I am. And I'm going to stay for another month and put the money in, let it ride, and send out all my press releases that I will talk about. I learned a trick from Henry Kissinger. He said, when they ask me a question, I don't listen to that. I tell them what I want to tell them. So I can really talk on talk radio or anything else and use this thing as my calling card. Oh, by the way, I'm on every station, every adult station in LA. No kidding. But, just say, I am out there in the world and you want me on your show. That way I don't feel like I lost $6 grand. I felt like I invested in myself as a brand.
mm-hmm.
Sound right, Johnny?
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. Thank you, folks. I love you guys. Thanks.
All right.
Well,
everybody.
happy 4th, everybody. I got to bounce.
Yep. Happy 4th of July. I think we're going to go ahead and wrap her up here, and we'll be back on next week. So have a great week, everybody. And don't get blown
Happy
up.
4th of July.
Happy
Thanks,
4th.
Happy 4th.
All the show that's going ashore. Salute the captain.
No taxation without representation.
Throw the tea over.